this, we are going to be starting on this Inca inspired drawing, and you can see here is our inspiration, and we are looking at this tapestry. We're going to be looking at the squares and the repetition of the bird symbol, and the birds were a really important symbol and animal to the Incas. So what we're going to do is we are going to get inspired by that and all these square shapes, and we are going to get started. So we're going to draw a square in the top left corner here, and then below that square we're going to be doing a rectangle shape, and we're going to layer it a little bit underneath the square, and it's going to be off to the right side. Then for the last rectangle, we are going to drop that in on the bottom, and I'm layering it a little bit so it looks like it's tucked behind. Once you have your 3 square / rectangle shapes drawn down, we're going to be looking at our inspiration picture, and we are going to pick and choose which animal we want to draw inside of each square. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to put this kind of serpent fish shape that is very geometric. So I'm kind of doing a rectangle with a circular head shape and a fin kind of tail at the end of it. Now, as you start looking at these animals, you'll notice that they're not very realistic. So think of them that the actual animal was the inspiration, and then the artist kind of took that and interpreted it in a different way, and even in a spiritual way. As you're starting to draw in some of these animals, have some fun, and you can interpret it in any way you wish. So I'm looking at the inspiration photo and I am copying what I'm seeing, but feel free to add additional elements, and those elements can even be in the background. So right now I'm adding some more simplified shapes in the corners. Because this is a tapestry, we're still having that repetition of patterns, so we want to make sure is that we are repeating the form to create a pattern. So in all 4 corners, I am going to be doing close to the same shape in each corner. And I'm just adding some interesting shapes inside of a shape. So in the tail, I'm doing these kind of triangular shapes. I'm filling in that section, and have some fun making some new shapes and even connecting some different shapes together. That could be very interesting. And also think of symbols. So are we talking about night and day? Are we talking about maybe the different change in seasons? So maybe we could do one square that is like summer, one that is spring, one that is fall, winter. You could do something like that. Or you could even just do, maybe you really like spiral shapes, so you're going to repeat that spiral shape over and over. Now in our middle square that we have here, I am going to draw out a bird. Now the bird here kind of is a cross between almost like a pelican and a flamingo. So I am having some fun with the shapes, and it is turning out a little different than the textile, and that is okay. So it's going to turn into kind of like your own interpretation of a bird. And whenever I'm drawing, I'm making sure I'm putting dashes down first, and then I connect those dashes together, and then if I like those dashes, then I connect the dots. Now make sure you guys pause the video when I'm drawing, because this video is sped up a little bit fast, so pause the video and then continue drawing yourself, and then you can hit play and continue watching me drawing. Now in this background, I'm just adding some interesting lines, and there's kind of like a little miniature bird shape in the bottom right corner. In this area in the bottom right corner, I'm just doing 3 triangle shapes that are connected together, and then a few other triangles next to it. And you're going to notice as you start aligning some triangles together, they actually start to turn into kind of a bird shape, which is really interesting. And if you've noticed, inside the bird, there's almost like a little snake inside. A lot of times in ancient animal drawings, there is a kind of squiggly shape inside, and that shape symbolizes the soul of the animal. Now in this upper square, we are going to draw another bird, and this bird has its wings out and they are flapping. And we're going to be looking at this photo as our inspiration. And you can see there is the wing has a really large shape, and then there's all these kind of square shapes cut into it. So what we are going to do is we are going to mimic those shapes on this drawing. Now just make sure you can continue with your dash marks and then connect the dots if you wish to do that. I always think that's a good way to start. In the background, I'm adding some nighttime elements, so I'm adding some moons, some crescent moons, and you could even add some stars too, or you could do the opposite. You could do the daylight. So if you want to do the sun, maybe do some clouds. It's always nice to kind of have a theme in the background. Now for the remaining space in the background, we are going to be adding some geometric shapes. So I'm going to outline all the way around each square, and this will help kind of ground our composition and get us some borders. So once we have outlined all around the square rectangle shapes, then we are going to outline it again and again. So you're going to start having 2 to 3 lines outlining the outside of the square shapes. And then once we've done that, then we're going to go in and add some details. So this is the fun part. So this is where you guys can go in and add even maybe some other animal shapes, or just go in and add more triangles and repeating the triangles in an interesting way to create a unique pattern. So it's up to you how much detail you want to put in. You could keep going and keep adding more and more patterns. We will be coloring this in the next video. Now make sure you take a break from this video, and then when you're ready to, grab your color pencils, crayons, anything that you have that's very colorful, and you can get into some of these small places in this drawing. Grab those tools for your next video to watch, and then we're going to start coloring in this Inca tapestry. Nice work, you guys!